Oh, kia ora, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? No mai, hi to mai. Got a bit of an interview tonight for y'all. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Just if you can hear me, let me know, and let me know where you're from. That'd be really, really awesome. But wherever you are in the world, I hope everything is amazing, especially in this crazy COVID world. We'll just give it a minute, and then I'm going to introduce y'all to Sam Kelly, the director of the latest movie out in New Zealand called Savage. Awesome movie. I actually checked it out yesterday, and I was just talking to Sam before, and there's a few tearjerker moments. Right. Can we hear me, everyone? And where are you from? Awesome. Cheers. All right, well, I'm going to introduce Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Thank
you for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me, man.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a real privilege to have you on board. Like I was saying to the audience before, I checked it out yesterday and didn't really know what to expect to start with. I read some of the press and it was even before it came out, man. They were saying it was just another gang movie or this kind of carry on, eh? I'm sure you might have read some of that, and it was far from that.
I felt lucky that I haven't had too much of that. It's been real. I was expecting a lot of that. I was expecting a lot of mixed reaction, but the people who've seen it have been really, really positive.
So, yeah. No, that's awesome, lucky. Man. Yeah. Can you give me a little bit of insight into how this project came together and why you put it together?
So I went to school in Porirua at Viard College, and I was like the token white boy in the school. I didn't have much interaction at all with gang members. Only real external, seeing them on the streets and stuff, and staying clear. And it wasn't until like this sort of violent incident that happened to some friends of mine that went to Viard that from a gang member, and I was just left with all these sort of emotions and anger, and so then that sort of like led me to questions like why do young people become gang members? And so I sort of spent time with at-risk youth, with young offenders who have been convicted of various crimes, and their program leaders who are trying to guide them on better paths, and heard their stories, and it was just found it really incredible how so many of our tamariki are in survival situations in New Zealand. Yeah. So just made this short film, Lambs, about that world, and then through that process, I met some adult gang members as well, and became really interested in their stories.
Oh wow, awesome, man! I actually checked out Lambs the other day too, as part of research. I'd actually seen it around before, but I never gave it a proper look. And it almost seemed like stepping stones to like your feature movie. I know it was based around at-risk youth, and so sad when he left his sister. What was there? Was there a sort of progression from Lambs to come on to Savage, or like how did that work?
Stylistically, there's a massive progression in that. Like Lambs is quite I think of it as like a social realist film where it's more sort of documentary feeling and quite sort of just stylistically quite raw and handheld, and it's shot in 16mm and rough and ready. And I think of Savage as being a little bit more soulful with its style. Like you've got a lot of shots where you've got characters surrounded by darkness and blackness, and it isolates them, and it's sort of more of a poetic style in a way, but while still trying to find that authenticity with performance.
I like I was telling you before this interview, I I've got you know, some pretty solid links to Porirua, and I noticed the Cannons Creek shops were in there, and
Yeah,
the basketball court and the playground and all that kind
yeah,
of stuff. I could really connect to that, well, both the movies, to be fair, because yeah, I was an at-risk youth and went through SIPS care, and I actually slept on the street for a few years too. A lot of people don't know that, and that it was real genuine. You know, the portrayal of it was real genuine. How did you come about making it so realistic like that? You must have had some real in-depth conversations with people that were
yeah.
actually there.
For lambs.
Yeah, all for both, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. I was talking to people like you when you were 17, you know, and I just sit down with them and ask them about their lives. And you know, in Porirua, I hung out with the Crips. This was about like half a dozen, you know, kids from 15 to 20 who were, well, actually 15 to 18 probably, you know, did spots on the stove with them, you know, got drunk with them, and just sort of, you know, just tried to connect and find out about their world and their life, and what their issues were, and just heard their stories, man. And really what it is both the pieces are made up of stories that I got told from different people. And that if it feels real, that's why, you know, because it's all real stories that I've taken, and lots of different ones from lots of different people, that make up this sort of collage of this world of things that find interesting. And then it's sort of, I guess, filtered through me, obviously, in my experience. Like it's sort of strange for me, because I feel like, even though this takes place in quite a you know, foreign world to most people, and to me, you know, I haven't lived as a gang member, or my family aren't, but it still feels like a really personal story to me, you know. Like I you know, yeah, like when I started writing Savage, I was in quite a dark place, you know. I was just sort of broken up with my missus. I ruined my ankle playing basketball, and I couldn't walk. I was bedridden for ages, for weeks and weeks, and I lost my job, and like everything that could go wrong, you know. And so I was sort of lost, and I was feeling quite lonely and just wanting connection. And that's the character of Damage, you know, this guy who's lost and sort of trying to find his direction in life. And, you know, and for me, like vulnerability is a really interesting theme and idea. Because I often feel like when I'm talking with people, or like there's this mask there, and I don't sort of let people, I don't open up, and I don't let people know who I am. I protect myself, and I stay closed. And it's like this fear of rejection, and this fear of, you know, maybe like this shame of who I am. And so, you know, I'm not vulnerable, and Damage can't be vulnerable either. And for really good reason with Damage, you know. I thought it'd be really interesting to put that character in this really violent, intense, masculine world where men can't explore those sort of emotions. So he can't connect with his bro about what actually happened in Borstal. He can't connect with this woman who's trying to open up to him, because he doesn't trust, you know, that will go well for him. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. Like, I just want to really give you props for actually reaching out and talking to real people, because, you know, I mean, it comes down to stereotypes, right? People think they know someone because of a stereotype, but once you get to know them and actually have conversations like yourself, you get to know them more than just a gang member, you know what I mean? Or, you know, they do drugs, they're violent, whatever. Because that's what I really appreciated and loved about the movie Savage was, you know, when he was a child in the Borstal, and then, you know, then the youth gang living on the streets, and then it gave a real wide perspective, and you could really understand why he went there. And, you know, you, like you said, your background is very different to that. So for you to even you know, sit down and try to understand people that are considered on the fringe, it's so awesome that you put that together and put that in the movie. Was
real
there
important to
any?
me.
Was
Yeah.
it hard to listen to some of these stories? You know, with your own perspective of the world.
It was important to me to make them feel, because I didn't want to make this film where they become like cliche gang members, stereotypes where it's just, the classic thing where you go and do this bit of violence against someone, you have a fight with someone and then just, or shoot someone and blow the gun and walk away because you're so cool, like that. I wanted to make a film with real people, real humans in them, and humans are affected by emotions. Every action has an emotional reaction. If you hurt someone, like I don't know, like it's been a long time since I've had a fight, but I remember when I did, in my late teens, early 20s, there'd be an emotional reaction afterwards. I'd be close to tears, like just there's so much emotion being worked up, and it's like, I'm really interested in those emotional reactions afterwards, and because what that does is it means it takes you're situating it in a real world with real emotional stakes, not just physical stakes where you're just walking around, you can get hurt, but you can get emotionally hurt, and you can and that to me gives an edge to the world that was really important. And it also makes sure that these are humans, that we're showing these guys as flawed, and we're seeing their interior lives, we're seeing who they are when they're away from that world.
Yeah, no, yeah, a lot of a journey of self-discovery, not just of Damage, but of the other characters as well, Moses and the rest of them. It was awesome. Word on the street is that it took 8 years for you to to finally drop this to all the people. How come it took that long? And is
I'm
it
slow.
because it became
I'm slow,
in
bro. That's why.
drips and waves, like the inspiration, or
just slow. I wish I could. No, it's. I mean, to an extent, I was, wanting funding and struggling to get it a little bit. And so you sort of depend on people believing in you, and it's really important to find those people along the way who believe in you, and I eventually found someone who was willing to, from the film commission who was, and there's that, and then also I think just writing full stop takes a while, like it's basically over those 10 years I basically wrote 3 scripts, and so each one took 3 years, and each one was like 5-6 drafts maybe. And it just takes a while to sort of work it through. And it was the 3rd one, which was Savage. So basically, if you just look at Savage, because all those 3 scripts were in the gang world, and I sort of, would write it, and spend 3 years on it, and then go for funding and be like, nah, and I'd be like, oh fuck, okay, well, we'll try something else, And so Savage was the one that got funding, and that was they said 3 years to write, maybe 2 years to make.
Wow. Wow. So, what was like the overall goal that you had when you were creating this movie? Was there one, or?
Overall goal. There's lots of like themes that I was really interested in. There's not like one. Some people ask, like, is there like a message that I have, and like in terms of one thing that I want to say, and there's not. I think I'm real skeptical of messages in films. I think anything that you can boil down to like a sentence that you tell people, like, this is what the film is, it reduces it down to something really superficial that everyone knows as well. If you say, like, I want, like, not this film, but if you say I want to make a film, that racism is bad, for example, it's like, well, we know that, like that's not interesting, so there's lots of themes in it. There's themes of vulnerability, there's themes of family, there's themes of connection and belonging, there's what was I going to say? that'll do.
Yeah, cool. Casting. I mean, 3 generations of casting. What were some of the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, casting was huge. So I think we're probably other than like Lord of the Rings, it's probably like the biggest casting mission for a New Zealand film ever. So the goal for casting was to try and cast it authentically as a gang, and I didn't want it to feel like a group of actors, who had put on the jackets and face masks, but we can tell that, they should be sipping lattes in Ponsonby, like because I look at the footage of gang guys from that era, in the 80s and stuff, and they are heavy dudes and they are hard and they don't look like, most actors that I know, so that hardness is the really interesting and challenging thing, because for actors as well, most actors go into it because they are open and vulnerable, have access to their vulnerability, and so they don't necessarily bring that natural hardness. And if you ask them to play hard, then you get this pushing at it. You get this idea of someone putting on this facade of like tough, which becomes the only note of the performance, because that hardness, that sort of, you see it sometimes in auditions, is, that hardness just becomes so overpowering in terms of performance that it ruins the nuance of emotions that should be happening under the scene. And you ask a gang member to do that same scene, which might be, about them meeting a girl for the first time, and instead of just feeling hardness, with you get this fun, you get they're naturally hard. They're not having to push that. They're not having to pretend to be. It's all about just the emotion of the scene. It's all about sort of connecting in with what the scene is about. And yeah, I love that. I love working with actors where they're stripping off and trying to be more vulnerable, not putting on layers of pretense, and so it was a lot to ask, from an actor. And so, yeah, we trying to cast from the community, we put a call out on Facebook. We asked for people with scars and missing teeth and criminal records and tattoos.
I actually had a few mates that applied and they didn't get in. They must have
had
scars or tattoos on their faces. But in saying that, I definitely recognised a lot of people in the movie as well from Puriroa. Some of them gang members and some of them not. I won't say which ones, but
cool.
Authentic. That's where the authenticity comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It must have been quite hard to find the mix between the professional actors and the real life kind of people, was it?
It ended up being a beautiful thing where the actors would help the people who the sort of more authentic, people from that world, with their performance and with sort of moving through that professional acting space, like hitting your marks and working for camera and all that sort of stuff. And the community cast would anchor the actors in that world and that give them that, just really pull them down, which was awesome. It ended up being so, after that Facebook thing, we went and toured the country and we saw a couple of thousand people from all around. And I love that audition. I love that audition process, Callum, like, talking to people who, like your friends who came in and auditioned. I think it's really incredible for some of these guys are, quite hard or quite, protective, and to go into that sort of situation is quite high risk for them. They're opening themselves up to ridicule or, belittling, if I was a Simon Cowell or something like that, like just like smash them for it, but, they would come in and, you've got to develop a relationship very quickly with them because you're seeing quite a few people that day. And so I would have a room running at the same time as a casting director. We'd each have 2 separate rooms and we'd just be working all day long, seeing person after person. But you know, we really wanted to give space and time for each person where we could feel like they could connect and they could feel like they're doing a good job. So we'd do several takes and make sure that they left feeling like it was a positive experience. That was real important. And some of these guys who walked in and just, they're so incredible. The depth of talent in New Zealand, just it's so exciting. I'm someone who gets real inspired by performance, great performance, and I feel like there's all of these people that I met that didn't fit necessarily specific roles, because to be honest, there was only like about 5 main roles in that world, so it was, and we saw thousands, so it was like I feel like I've got this massive bank of incredible talent now that I'm sort of just keeping in mind for future films and stuff.
Yeah, right. All right, like 2020 COVID, what a year it's been. What a year it's been, right? It's the most craziest year ever. Has this affected the filmmaking process? And we're actually lucky that we're not in level 3 or anything, or we wouldn't even be able to go to the cinemas to even watch it, right? So has that affected it in any way?
Well, we finished the film before COVID hit.
Oh, nice.
So it was only in the release. The COVID delay. We were going to release in April. Yeah, but we couldn't. So it ends up getting pushed back, and it does affect the release a little bit. Like Auckland is still not really getting out to the cinema in full force yet, which I hope means that we can stay in cinemas until they're feeling good about going. But yeah, the release has been massive. We're just got news today. We're number 1 in the country at the moment in terms of box office. For bet 10 and out.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
That must be so amazing after this long journey, man.
It's just cool to see people connecting with it, and hear about it, to hear the stories, and particularly the things I love are gang members' reactions to it, and I who've been like real positive on it, and saying this is a really important story and connecting with it because it is their story, in a way. So those OGs from 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then also people who've been through state care, and I get messages from them saying, there's one who went with his daughter, and he'd told her about it, but there's a difference, I think, sometimes with just feeling it, and going on that journey emotionally. And they just cried together afterwards, and it was a real beautiful bonding experience for them.
Wow.
And that for me is like the best sort of outcome you could hope for, something where it becomes a connection moment for 2 humans,
Yeah. And saying that, since we're talking about feelings and emotions, something that really hit me, I've got a bit of a musical background, and the soundscape of the movie, it was, I've never really heard anything like it before, especially in the New Zealand film. It was quite modern. But it really suited the moods, and and they came in at the right time, and it just really punched you in the heart when the acting was already being awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about the music behind the movie and who was involved there?
Yeah, so I had this guy Nick Buckton doing the sound design, and like the sound design as well, just to touch on that quickly beforehand, because that leads into the score, is something as well that I'm super stoked with. So the sound design, for if any of your viewers don't know, it's everything you can hear in the film other than score, really. So you have dialogue, you have the atmosphere that might be like, every room has a sound. When you're outside, especially if you're in a gang pad, there's lots of sounds of fire and cackling and murmurs of dialogue and the wind and the insects and it's dozens of layers, and you make up this beautiful, rich fabric of an atmosphere that has a feeling to it. And like Nick's an artist, every scene that he creates has an incredibly beautiful world that has been created. Real delicate, real like, and with he's finding the right sort of sounds that will really subtly create an emotional tone. So it might be like that the dogs are barking at a time, or that there's a baby crying off screen, and it's this anxiousness or tenseness, or the wind is soft and peaceful, and so it's real subtle. But when you listen to the film in an incredible cinema, you really loud, you just hear these incredible worlds that Nick's created. So we're really lucky to work with Nick, and Nick. I was looking for composers, and wasn't quite finding what I was because I was wanting this ambient atmospheric score that was quite bold, and I just couldn't quite find exactly what I was hoping for. And then Nick mentioned to me this guy Ali, who is from Israel. He's been in New Zealand for 10 years, and he's in his late 20s sort of thing. And he'd done a short film before, and then just like some albums that like people use for meditation, and the beautiful ambient albums. And I just got really excited when I heard his work, and just started I was stalking him on YouTube, and just started listening to more and more of his stuff. And I'm going, this is it. This is it. This is the sort of it had emotional quality to it, but there were textures, and they were really interesting. And so I started working, I was editing at the time. And then, so I came in and I met Ali, and he's this really just generous, humble, and just collaborative guy. Really likes to, get in a room, and his process is he'll get his electric guitar out, and he's a genius on the guitar. That's like his main thing. And it'll be linked up to this looping thing, and it'll go through, and he'll play like a few notes, and then it'll just sustain, and then he'll go up to his filters, and it's like this whole bank of like dozens of different filters, and he knows what every one of them does, and he'll start turning knobs and manipulating dials until that noise that was just like one guitar chord has become this pulsating whatever it is. It becomes this rhythmic thing.
Wow.
And it's no longer even sounds like a guitar. It sounds like a drum, or it sounds like a violin, or it sounds like something else. And he'll just create these sort of spaces, and then I'd react to it, and I go, because a lot of scoring is emotional problem solving. You're trying to find what is the tone of the scene, because if you hit like the tone of that scene in the wrong way, or in a way that feels too hard, what you pull back from it and you react to it. I feel like as a viewer, you need to be enticed. You need to be coming forward to it, where it's sort of like this emotional offer, this provocation, and then you sort of, it stirs something within you, but it's not like being pushed down your throat. Like this is the emotion that you need to be feeling right now. So there's this real delicacy to it. And a lot of the time, would be playing, he'd just like try different things, and like every now and again we'd be like, yeah, that's it, although it's not quite it, let's go in this direction with it. And he's so reactive because he just reacts in the moment. And those nights that we had where we just sat around after a long day edit and connected as people, and talked about like what the film was about and what it meant, and what sort of how we wanted it to sound. And I would just sit in the back, exhausted from my day of editing. But it was my favorite time during the whole film, because you just be surrounded. It was in this room, and it'd be surrounded by this music, and I loved it. And he became good friends with our sound designer Nick. And usually, what happens is with sound design and music, they both work on their thing separately, and then come together in the sound mix at the end. And then they're competing on frequencies, and every scene you're like, this doesn't work. You guys are doing the same thing and it's not working. Or, but they didn't. They worked collaboratively and creatively, where they trusted each other, they informed each other's work, and they worked out like what each scene could offer from a soundscape. And so that when you got to the mix, you knew it was already working. And most films don't work that way. And, now I've done it like that, I'd never want to work any other way. It was such a cool experience.
Yeah, it's like once again, it's like genuine connection.
Yeah, he's an artist, and so is Nick. And it's that's what you want. You want artists on your film who are going to take your film in much further than you could think.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold? Like, have you got any plans? I don't mean like 10 years down, next year or whatever, but are there any plans for next steps for more movies, or is it just pushing Savage?
So I've got a few ideas actually, and it's been nice. I haven't been able to, I've been working doing my day job, which is like directing stuff. But I've been sitting there and they've been sort of calling to me and going, knocking on my door and going, and I've felt this sort of this inspiration arising again and feeling really ready to delve into some more worlds. So I haven't decided on which of them yet. I'm sort of just letting them percolate and seeing which one speaks the loudest.
Yeah. I suppose after all this time and all this creating too, you kind of want to sit there and appreciate all that you've done instead of just continue climbing. Like I hang out with a lot of creative people, and sometimes you got to sit there and give yourself a pat on the back and give yourself recognition, right? Because we forget to do that sometimes.
It's important, man. Like it's a real like hard journey making a film, and there's not a lot of like like everyone thinks what people think making a film is quite different from what it is. So it is really important. You're absolutely right, man, to sort of you need that light to balance out the hardness, and it's been really nice the last 2 weeks actually, seeing it land with people and really truly connect with people. It's blowing me away.
Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much for your time. It's like really, really appreciate it. It was awesome getting to know you and sharing your story with myself and Feels Like Home, bro.
Awesome chatting, Callum. Appreciate it.
Any last words?
just I appreciate you inviting me on, man, and allowing me to connect with more people. And if anyone hasn't seen it, or go check it out. I hope you dig it.
Awesome. You heard it from the man himself, Sam Kelly. Go out and see it, whānau. Like I said, I seen it yesterday. It was amazing. We actually have 4 double passes to give away. All you got to do is comment down below this video who you take. It's only for New Zealand people, because this movie is only New Zealand at the moment. But for those people in Australia, I know these heaps use over there that follow this page. I heard that it's dropping on the 11th of October over there. Is that correct, Sam?
In Australia, 8th, I think.
8th
of October.
8th of October, so it's not very far away. So, support our New Zealand artists, win some tickets, comment down there who you take, and we'll send them out to you. Thank you very much, Sam, and hope to talk to you again.
Thanks, man.
Ciao, my bro.